Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder Express.
Yay and choo-choo!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. We have one of the craziest stories you're ever going to hear today. I've been waiting with bated breath to tell this story till it kind of played out in the courts and everything, because from the day one of it happening, I've been just, oh my God, it's the craziest thing ever. Definitely pocket Robin level top 10 crazy person today. We'll talk all about that. First, though, definitely head yourself on over to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Oh, why would they do that?
They would get, number one, merchandise, tons of it.
Yeah,
anything you could possibly want in merchandise we have there. And also, get your tickets for live shows starting back up in the fall. Right now, a lot of them are selling out, but there are tickets left in Irvine, California, in Seattle. There's a few tickets in November, and then D.C. and Philly in December. There's some tickets left. Right. So we're already talking about close to Christmas, which is crazy. But definitely do that. Get your tickets. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Listen to our other two shows, Crime in Sports, which is our other show you should be listening to. We're going to be doing a long series about the I-5 killer, serial killer Randall Woodfield. That'll be fun. That's starting up. And then also listen to Your Stupid Opinions, where we figure out and take opinions and reviews from all over the internet and make fun of the people who left them. So that's a lot of fun. Do that, and then get yourself Patreon as well. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of the bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above, you are going to get, my goodness, you're going to get a lot. You're going to get so much. Giant back catalog of hundreds and hundreds of bonus episodes you've never heard before to binge immediately, and then new ones every other week. One Crime in Sports, one Small Town Murder. This week is no different. This week, you get it all, baby. This week, what you're going to get for Crime in Sports, which you'll have access to, we're going to talk about the Liver King, the guy from the documentary, kind of a social media nutbag, who I honestly thought was dead, and I'm shocked is alive. I can't believe it.
Should have been called the Leather King. His skin was so
leather.
Gross. Yeah, it's gross.
He's eating like raw balls off of animals out in a field, and he's alive still somehow. Then for Small Town Murder, alien stuff. Yeah, we're just going to go down this weird conspiracy rabbit hole. We're going to talk about whistleblowers disappearing and being murdered, and we're just going to get high and talk about crazy stuff there. It's going to be fun.
I love it.
Patreon.com/crimeinsports. And you get a shout out at the end of the regular show where your name will probably not be recognizable to you, but Jimmy will try his hardest to make sure it is.
Try to find it.
That said, I think it's time, everybody, to sit back. What do you say here? Let's all clear the lungs and let's all shout. Shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, everybody.
Okay.
Let's go on a trip, shall we? All right. We are going to Wisconsin this week.
Yeah.
And we're going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, which you may recognize from the football team. Yes. Which is technically a little larger of a place than we usually do, but not a big city by any stretch of the imagination. The football team still rides bicycles with kids to practices and shit. It's a very small town place. It's in eastern Wisconsin, all the way over by the bay there. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes to Madison, Wisconsin, about 3 hours, which will be, by the way, in September, and then 3 hours to Chicago, where we were a couple months ago, and then 2 hours to Pewaukee, old Pewaukee there, Pewaukee, our last Wisconsin episode, the Murder Martini episode, which was a wild one. This is in Brown County. Brown, area code 920, population here about 107,000 people, which, again, a little bigger than we normally do, but not, a big city by any stretch of the imagination. It's in the middle of Wisconsin somewhere. So median household income here, a little less than the national average. It's about $55,200 here. So a little bit less. Median home cost, though, is also lower than the national average. So that's nice. $212,700.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad. It'll be covered in ice for about 7 months out of the year, but That's all right. Little bit of history here. The Langlade family arrived here around 1745, and they were the first kind of settlers in the area, put it that way. In 1763, the British ousted the French and took control of Green Bay.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like the Minnesota Vikings came to town and won the big rivalry there until 1783 when the Americans won control during the Revolution there. Green Bay became home to the state's first newspaper and was the first city in Wisconsin to receive mail.
Oh, is that right?
That's a big deal. And then in 1918, the Green Bay Packers were founded, playing their first season in 1919, making the whole country know Green Bay, which they would have never heard of Green Bay if it wasn't for the Packers, which is very interesting here.
It would be Oshkosh to everybody else.
And the NFL, when it first started, it was a lot of small towns. That's how the league was.
Was the first one.
That's what I mean. It wasn't for big cities. It was a different type of thing. Now this is basically the only remaining small town team left from anything. Because everything else went to big population centers except for Green Bay. It's the last small town team in the country. Okay. So that's very interesting. Reviews here, 5 stars. Here goes. I love the summer farmers market on Wednesday and Saturday in the summer, as opposed to the winter summer farmers market, which would be much different if you had that. It's the summer farmers market. They also have winter markets, though less often. That makes sense. Almost everything is 15 minutes away or less because it's a small place.
Right.
Game weekends are busy, but not only really near the stadium. So just stay away from the stadium.
You guys, it's game day. Why are you doing game weekends?
Because this is all there is to do there. So they go out in the freezing cold and just live in a parking lot for 2 days, getting ready for it. Yeah. Then 3 stars, Green Bay is a city that has continuously been growing in the past years. With that being said, there are a variety of homes, businesses, and communities that are left in the dust and remain to be refurbished. Yeah. As new stuff is built, old stuff gets shittier. It's just kind of...
Old ugly stuff goes by the wayside when you have new shit. That's
it.
how it goes.
Here's 2 stars. Yeah, exactly. The garage cleaning theory. Here's 2 stars. A lot of losers / grown folks working basic entry-level positions and stealing the jobs from the young and inexperienced. Wow. I never heard it put like that, but you fucking loser. Job's not for you. Overall, the roads are super narrow, and I have a lot of curve damage on my rims. I think curb is what they mean. Yeah, and that's not the town's fault. That's your fault. You are running into curbs. Don't blame the town because there's curbs that you can't park next to.
Get bigger tires, dipshit.
Good. Or learn how to park. How's that?
Yeah,
remember parallel parking? Do that. Idiot. Don't blame that on the town. At the nighttime, not in the nighttime, at the nighttime, the street lights are crap. Gee, I wonder why this
same person.
Yeah, I wonder why this person doesn't have one of these highly sought after jobs they're complaining about. Maybe because they sound like a moron.
You can't even drive, motherfucker.
You can't drive, right? And you called the street lights crap, which is not the most descriptive term you could have put in there.
At the nighttime.
At the nighttime, the street lights are crap. That's literally a sentence. And I can barely see anything when I am driving. The city looks very dull and rugged compared to most other cities in Wisconsin, and the job market sucks. Well, you suck, I think. Sucks. It's crap. You could just interchange crap and sucks right there, too. It doesn't matter in either one of those sentences.
This person, I feel like, interviews very poorly.
That's what I mean. It doesn't really matter. That resume probably doesn't look great either. The mission statement part is probably to not be so crappy and sucky like the last place I worked. That's the mission statement.
What famous person did you quote on opening page?
Wow. And the last sentence, and people seems to be so miserable, and the only thing keeping this city relevant are the Packers.
Okay.
So much wrong with that. I don't even want to get into it. Things to do here. The Midwest, well, obviously go to a Packer game because that's really all there is to do. But the Midwest Viking Festival.
They have a Viking festival.
Not Vikings. That would be, obviously, they would just burn that tent to the ground every year. But the Viking Festival, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, by the way, that's where a lot of the it's another reason why I consider it a smaller town is because when a good chunk of the people in your town are college kids. They're not really in that town. They're not in the fabric.
They're temporary there. They're only here for 4 years.
They stay in their own area. UW Green Bay is the proud host of the annual Midwest Viking Festival, which explores Scandinavian history and the daily life of the region from 1,000 years ago. Located at the Viking House grounds north of the Woodhall lot, the festival celebrates the craft traditions, food stories, and many other aspects of medieval Scandinavia. Denmark, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden. Nearly 3,000 intrepid explorers joined us last year, and we invite you to join the next expedition. Now, it takes place September 19th and 20th, and it's free.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at what the events are, and I can see why it's free. Lars Walker will be talking about the Viking Age.
Talking about writing about.
Skog Troll will be there. SKOG Troll, which is early Scandinavian music. Sven Thunheim will be there doing Viking storytelling. Thunheim. That's fun. There's a battle demonstration. There is then Sven Thunheim the next day, and Carrie Towering will be there as well. Which I don't know what the hell they're going to do. And then Skog Troll closes it all out.
Oh, wrap it up for us.
Wrap it up. That said, let's talk about a murder, shall we?
Wow.
Let's get into some weird stuff here. Saw this case pop up a couple years ago and have just been glued to every piece of it because it is incredible. And it's one of the
every piece of it.
Every piece of it, yeah. That's probably
Jesus Christ.
That's a little foreshadowing for you. Let's talk about Taylor. Is the first Taylor Denise Coronado with a C. Now she's born November 23rd, 1997. She is from just outside of Chicago and grew up in Chicago.
All right.
So that's where she is from. Her parents are Marla and Arturo Coronado, and we'll talk plenty about Arturo later.
Really?
Yes. So they had her in 97. I can't believe this woman is this young, too.
That woman is she's born in
almost 98. November 23rd, 97.
She's a toddler, and I graduated high school.
Barely a toddler. An infant.
Unbelievable.
An infant when you're graduating. She has a younger brother, 2 years younger than her, named AJ. Now, when she is 11, her mom dies, which is horrifying, obviously. When we tell you her backstory a little bit, you're going to go, oh, okay, that's where all this comes from, because her mom died of cirrhosis of the liver and alcoholism.
Holy shit.
And she wasn't in her 60s or anything. She was, in her 30s and died of cirrhosis.
Oh, my word.
So that is a severe alcoholic or weak liver, one or the other.
That's impressive, really, to destroy a vessel that is meant for about 80 years.
Yeah, maybe.
You destroyed it in less than 30.
That's a lot of drinking. And when we find out what her husband's all about, you'll go, oh, that's why she's drinking so much, and that's why she picked this jerk, because who knows what happened to her and her child. This is one of those shit rolls downhill, and you have a fucked up childhood, and you never fix anything in your life, and you never do anything, and you find the same asshole that abused you, and then you have another kid who you do the same thing to, and it goes on and on and on.
And there's
until the end of time.
Yeah,
or till
breaking the cycle
goes to prison.
breaking the cycle isn't just to not be a drain on society or to make yourself better. Sure, it's about self-improvement, but it's also just to not let your family affect the rest of the fucking world.
No, it's for everybody. That's the point. Yeah.
Everybody benefits when you work really hard to not be trash.
This week, when we were talking in the West Virginia episode, when the father was abusing both the youngest son and the dog, and he went, oh, no, and I went, oh, the dog, that's terrible. That guy, though, he's going to fucking perpetuate this on society more, whereas the dog will be in the yard. Horrible and an awful thing. I just meant for society on the whole, and this is kind of the thing there. You're unleashing another generation of bad shit on the world. Mom died in bed, so like dad woke up one morning and mom was dead next to him. Weird.
Whoa.
So it wasn't like she was sick in the hospital. It stopped. Yeah, it was like, well, we've had about enough. Stayed up, watched the Tonight Show, and that's about that.
She probably died hammered then.
Maybe. So
gotta assume.
Father remarried, but that marriage fell apart because her father was accused of raping a minor that he was watching.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Mom, such a severe alcoholic, she's dead of cirrhosis in her 30s. Dad, pedophile. We're getting a fucking, a painting here now, and what her childhood was like. Yeah.
Yeah.
She started receiving mental health treatment when she was in the 7th grade, which is a year after her mom died, 12, the 7th grade. So that makes sense. This was to address attention and concentration and behavioral problems in school that happened from not having a mother because she suddenly died on you. You know what I mean? Probably. At the time, she was medicated to address, quote, symptoms presumed to stem from ADD or ADHD.
Sure.
She was prescribed a mood stabilizer, an antidepressant, and an antipsychotic. These are all as a child at once. She's taken all this stuff. Then when she gets to be about 18, though, she weaned herself off the medications because now she doesn't have to do shit because she's an adult.
Right.
So she decided from taking a mood stabilizer, antidepressant, and antipsychotic, she said, I don't need any of that. I'm fine.
Oh, boy.
And then bad things happened from there. Yeah. She ended up moving to Texas with her grandparents to finish school, to finish high school.
From Chicago to Texas. Yeah.
To finish high school because I think her dad was in trouble at that time, if I'm not mistaken. After school, she comes back to Wisconsin. She is working for a cheesemaker for a while.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're in Wisconsin, so that makes sense. She's making cheese, and then she also sold, like, shit she made out of beads on Etsy also.
Yeah.
Beaded Etsy shit, whatever the fuck things. So on Valentine's Day 2020, she gets married.
Really?
So romantic. Why not? Yeah.
She is
married.
How old is she? Oh, 23.
22 at this point, yeah. She marries a man named Warren Schabow. Okay, now... This is where this comes from. Now, his name is Schabow, Schabow, B-O-W.
Hell yeah.
So, Schabow. He decides that Shabow's not a cool enough name.
Really?
And he calls himself Warren Shabusiness. And it is S-C-H-A business. Shabusiness. Like getting down to some shabusiness, motherfucker.
What the fuck?
Schabow
is badass.
No, but he said, "No, I'm a white guy from Wisconsin. I want to be Shabusiness." Now he doesn't legally change his name to Shabusiness. No. He just changes it on all social media and calls himself that. She goes to the fucking court and has her name changed to, because when she does her name change for marriage, she just changes it to Shabusiness. So.
You could pick anything, I guess.
So she is now Taylor Shabusiness.
Legally.
Legally Shabusiness. Yeah, when you see her court stuff, it is the state versus Shabusiness, not anything else. And his name is Warren Schabow legally still, though. He didn't change it too lazy to change his name.
Amazing.
Now
that's how it happened.
That's how her name is Shabusiness. Because from the very beginning, he goes, "This lady's name really Shabusiness? What the fuck is that about?"
It's not.
No, because they made up a name. They just combined a name with business, and now you're Shabusiness. So a little bit on Warren's backstory, the husband.
Yeah.
Now let's see. Mom's dead when she's 11. She has mental health issues that she stops taking medication for, and her dad's a pedophile. So do you think she's going to marry a great guy, or is she going to marry a piece of shit like her father?
Yeah. She's going to look for someone damaged, yes.
Absolutely. Or someone that's going to damage her. She's going to look for an abuser. That's what she's going to look for.
Yeah.
Mom's an alcoholic. I mean, the whole thing. She's looking for abuse. Fucking make me hurt. That's what she wants.
Right. Yeah.
So she marries Warren, and Warren, on July 16, 2012, the state of Wisconsin filed a criminal complaint against him alleging that he forcibly entered a residence and stole property, which included several firearms.
Wow.
He was charged with armed burglary and 2 counts of theft. And he ends up getting a plea agreement in which he agrees to plead no contest to the charges. In return, the state here agreed to cap its recommendation for sentencing at 2 years initial confinement and 4 years extended supervision. So that's why he was even out to meet Taylor. And he'll be back in prison soon anyway.
Obviously.
The prosecutor noted his character. This is fun because this is her new husband. He's got a criminal record, which includes recent convictions for resisting and obstructing, possession of THC, and possession of drug paraphernalia. They observed that Shabao was on probation at the time of his present offenses, and he lived with his father, who was addicted to drugs until he was 13, and then he was placed in a foster home. So he comes from a drug addict family that put him in a foster home at 13, which is late for that. So that's who she found. She found a reflection of everything. They said that it appeared to have been a beneficial, good placement for him in foster care. It was better than his home life.
Yeah.
So he did graduate from high school. Didn't look like he had a lot of immediate juvenile offenses, but as soon as he got graduated from high school, he got seriously involved with drugs, doing heroin, any synthetic opiate he could get his hands on, and of course, the breakfast of champions, meth, clearly. Yeah. So he completed a drug program on probation, but was actively using drugs at the time of that burglary, and told the responding officers that he had consumed 25 1-milligram Xanax tablets a few hours before the burglary.
Okay.
Yeah. They said the most important feature, the prosecutor said, sadly enough, of the defendant's character at this point is that he has a very serious drug problem.
Yeah.
And they also said they found it difficult to imagine how he could maintain employment of any level without thorough and intensive drug treatment. In other words, not ready for society.
No.
Can't hold a job, no count, but just terrible upbringing, terrible life, needs a full...
This guy needs supervision.
Needs supervision and a shitload of therapy, I think, too, and rehab and every other goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So they sentenced him to 5 years incarceration with 2 years that he serves.
Right.
Now, so he's out to meet her, but that's the history. That's who she found. Now, June 21st, 2020, Taylor's in some trouble of her own here.
Oh.
Okay. An officer responded to a request for a welfare check on a female that just knocked on a man's door and seemed to be under the influence of narcotics. That's from the police complaint. That's where they're going out. When they showed up, they found a female walking in the roadway, and when the officer got close to her, she pointed at him. Okay? Yeah. So the officer turned his vehicle around and got behind her and asked her to stop. He pulled over a walking lady.
Yeah. Why are you pointing?
What are you doing here? Taylor said, "Why do I have to stop for you?"
Good question.
Okay.
Fair.
The officer told her he was just making sure she was okay and knew where she was going, because she was walking in the middle of the street. She wasn't like on the sidewalk going about her business. Okay. She was just walking down the middle of the street acting like a crazy person. So the officer then walked up to Taylor and asked her what was going on, and she said she wasn't sure, which is a bad answer when a cop asks you what's going on.
I'm not sure.
Not positive, but maybe I've got to be honest with you. And then upped the ante by saying, "I'm on a different planet right now, man." Which...
Okay, that generally means I'm super fucking high.
Super wasted right now. On a different planet and not sure what's going on. Again, not the most reassuring thing to tell a responding officer here. She said that she had just shot up earlier in the day and then... helpfully pulled up her sleeves to show the officer the fresh track marks on her arms. See? Look.
Look what I can do.
I'm being honest now. So the officer asked her for her info, name, date of birth, that sort of thing, to which she told him, but she did it fast and he couldn't understand what she was saying.
Yeah.
And also he was still stuck on, did you say your last name is Shabusiness? Hold on a minute. Spell Shabusiness, would you? He asked her again, and she told him, but seemed to whisper it this time, and he could only catch a few letters in her last name.
Okay.
She's being weird. She's high. She's fucked up in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
So the officer noted that Taylor appeared to be under the influence of a controlled substance. So then another cop pulls up, and this time he's trying to help get the name and date of birth. They're just trying to get a name out of her at this point.
Yeah.
She starts to get argumentative with them.
Really?
Like, I told you my name already. Leave me alone. I don't need to talk to you anymore.
This is what you do?
This is what you do. This is what you do if you're on cops or fucking, on patrol or something. You see this and you go, do people act like this? They do. Yeah. Right here. So the officer, second officer, then stopped her from walking away because she started to walk into oncoming traffic. She just started to walk into the street in oncoming traffic. So they were like, holy shit. So that's wild. She continued to make strange comments and at one point asked the officer, quote, "Are you taking a shit?"
What? She asked that?
She asked the officer, "Are you taking a shit?" He was like, huh? He was typing her info into the computer, and he's like, "No, I'm doing this."
Did she mean to try to say shit or get off the pot?
Yeah, she said, "Are you taking a shit?" So
I think she mixed up a cliche question.
I think so. I think she smelled shit or something because she was on a lot of. She possibly shit her pants and didn't realize it.
Maybe she was trying to say, "Are you shitting me?"
Maybe, but it's just she just said out of nowhere, "Are you taking a shit?" And then continued to make absurd comments that made no sense and were completely out of context as well.
Yeah.
Like, "Are you taking a shit?" while you're sitting in a cop car typing on a computer. So then
she's awesome.
The cops then talked to each other and agreed that she should probably be detained for a while.
5150 at least minimum
for her own safety. Like even in a Mayberry way. Like let's toss her in a cell and let her sober up a bit or something.
We'll give her the key, but we're going to put her in there.
We're going to put her in. So she then continued to get argumentative and try to walk away from the cops. Okay. So they tried to put her in handcuffs, and they did. And then they, put the handcuffs on her, and she starts tensing up and trying to pull her arm away from the officers at that point. So they're waiting to hear back if she has warrants or anything. And at that point, she broke away and again tried to walk into traffic.
Oh, Jesus.
Handcuffed this time. So then they grabbed onto her and escorted her back to the curb. At this time, she kicked backwards like a donkey kick at the officer, striking him in the shin. So that's not good.
That's assault.
So the officer could see, the second officer said they could see it hurt because the guy stopped and bent over and grimaced. He was like, "God damn it, kicked me right in the shin." So
I knew it hurt because he responded as such.
Went, "Ow, God damn it." And he was like holding her arm. So then she tries to kick him again, but misses. So now she's got a charge anyway. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, that is good, but it's not good.
So they took her to the ground, and while on the ground, she continued to resist and kick and bite the officers, or tried to anyway. Yeah. She's helped to her feet and escorted to a squad car. And then, she's searched. They didn't find any weapons or anything like that. This time, she's still resisting and fighting the whole time, by the way. She's charged with resisting arrest and battery on a member of law enforcement. She pled no contest to the battery charge and was put on probation for 3 years. And this is the smartest thing, ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation.
Terrific.
That's what we need here now, or psychological. Now, August of 2020, she's back in action again. Couple months later. Oh, yeah. She leads. This is wild. This is, again, she's just like a cop's star, basically. Like she's like Run, Ronnie, Run, the David Cross thing. Like if you just follow her around. She leads an officer on a high-speed chase after he attempts to pull her over.
Oh, she's got a car, too.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes she's on foot. So the complaint alleges that after attempting to pull over the car, Taylor accelerated while running red lights and at one point almost hitting a bicycle rider.
Oh, boy.
Crossing over the Walnut Street Bridge, the vehicle continued to accelerate and disregard the overhead lights. At this time, the officer put a siren on and, tried to get her to pull over and all that kind of thing, but she wouldn't pull over. The vehicle reached speeds of up to 80 miles an hour, continuing westbound on Walnut. The direction of travel, rate of speed, and due caution in regard to pedestrians and condition of the roadway were all notified to dispatch in a timely manner. After a few minutes, cops decided to try a pit maneuver. She's so crazy they got a fucking pit, which if you don't know what that is, it's when the cop will drive next to a car, kind of get in the back quarter panel of it and hit them and spin them out so they can forced pull over.
Yeah.
So some people don't know what that is. So they said that the driver of the car was still continuing their driving behavior, high rate of speed, swerving all over the lanes and not caring for any other drivers except themselves.
Even after the pit maneuver?
Well, they're going to try the pit maneuver. Okay. So She's driving a black Nissan Altima at this point.
Those move, yeah.
Once he's in a pit maneuver position, squares up the squad car close to the rear quarter panel, and he's about to perform the pit, the vehicle hits its brakes and attempts a right-hand turn onto an apartment complex.
Oh, wow.
She's a defensive driver, man.
Dude, she knows what he's doing.
She did that. She's nuts.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
she knows
she
what
knows.
he's doing. She knows
knows
he's trying to pit maneuver.
I think said he knows. So the abrupt change of direction and the attempt at the pit caused basically he tried to still pit her, and actually does. He makes contact with the Nissan. It does a 180.
Yeah.
And then it looks like she's going to stop. So they exit the vehicle and order her to get out with her hands up, and she just guns it and keeps going.
The other way.
Yeah. And
I'd rather not.
But she doesn't keep driving. She pulls into an apartment complex.
Okay.
Where her dad lives.
Oh, just going to my dad's
Going to
house.
dad's house. So one of the officers is still on foot and attempts to run after the vehicle in case the vehicle stops short. So the other one returned to his squad car because he knows there's an exit between where the current location is. He knows where the exits are in the apartment complex.
Yeah,
so
she maybe just be using the complex as a go-between to get away from him.
That's exactly.
She's
what
really going
thinking.
to her dad's house.
She's going to her dad's house. So they said they go back, which is the complex here, and they said that there's other officers there. They get her name. They pull Taylor out of the car. She was being pulled into another squad car there when they observed the license plate and all that. Her father was in the apartment directly in front of the parking spot where she parked her car.
The guy that touches kids.
She just pulled right up to his apartment.
Yeah.
Kid toucher there. So they said in the front passenger compartment, which she would have control area to reach, so a place she could get to, they observed a black little kit. The kit contained a syringe that had a crystal-like substance still on the plunger end, as well as portions of the plunger itself. They observed, it's her little kit bag, a little baggie that contained a crystal-like substance that subsequently tested positive for methamphetamine. They also located an off-white rubber elastic band, so, to tie off with.
Yeah.
She's shooting up, as well as a clear baggie containing multiple little cotton balls. Yeah. So, this is all to shoot up.
Very professional.
Oh, she's a pro drug user here. I mean, her husband probably taught her well. So the charges of knowingly fleeing or eluding an officer, bail jumping for not adhering to the guidelines of her probation from previous June offense, possession of drug paraphernalia, and obstructing an officer. She makes a deal with the prosecutors, agrees to enter a no contest plea to the charges of fleeing and obstructing an officer.
Okay.
Now, November 13th, 2020, Warren is in trouble. Her husband.
Oh, what did he do?
Well, he was, during a traffic stop, found to have 46 grams of methamphetamine that someone had told them he would have. So, this is some informant told on him, basically. Okay. It's a federal drug complaint. They had, I'm sure, people on the hook. So, So anyway, according to the probable cause affidavit, he conspired with others to distribute and possess with intent to distribute a mixture and substance containing in excess of 500 grams of a mixture of a substance containing a detectable amount of methamphetamine. Tried to sell a shitload of meth, basically. Right. So he agrees to a plea deal. He enters a guilty plea to the charge of knowingly and intentionally possessing with the intent to distribute, blah, 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 blah. He then gloats about it on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. He wrote that he was framed and that he beat a conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine charge and pled to a possession with intent to deliver charge because it was the best deal. He also said he'd be out by January of next year, if not sooner, because of the First Step Act, which allows inmates to earn increased good conduct time, offers earned time credits for completion of recidivism reduction programs and or productive activities. Good time, basically. They brought that back. Yeah. So April and May of 2021, Taylor is hospitalized both in April and in May after a suicide attempt in both months.
Dang.
She's not doing well.
She's declining, yeah.
She's diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, which makes a lot of sense, and that adds to her other diagnoses from the past of severe depression and ADHD.
Okay.
She's got a tough it's all going bad for her. So guess what she does about a month later?
What?
Gives birth to a son.
She is pregnant?
She was pregnant during all that.
Wow.
Yes, to a guy who's in prison, and the father's in prison, and she's a mess. And
Taylor.
She's having a kid now. She has a son. Mm-hmm. The son ends up living with her grandparents in Texas, where she went, which is probably better, except I don't know, because those are the parents that produced a pedophile. So I'm not sure.
Right. Who knows?
That means something happened to him, which either they weren't paying attention or... Right. I mean, obviously, it's people don't want their kids to get molested, but who knows if the grandfather's a fucking molester? We don't know. You know what I mean?
Somebody's a monster somewhere.
Someone is. So, anyway, Warren's in federal custody, and January of 2022, she goes to court and receives 2 years probation for the eluding police and 3 months in a local jail for bail jumping. Now, she's supposed to be in a local jail for 3 months as of mid-January 2022. But the sentence gets reduced to house arrest. So she is out of jail and able to be in the public on February 21st, 2022, which is when all of this happens. Okay, there's a 911 call from a woman named Tara Pankanich. Now, she has a son named Shad Therion, Thyrion, who is 24 years old. Now, Taylor and Shad are hooking up while husband's in the clink, and he is a high school boyfriend of Taylor's. They went out for about 2 years in high school.
Okay.
So that's where he comes from. Now, his mother, Tara, calls the 911, and she's with her boyfriend Steve Hendricks as well. And they say, I just went in the basement. They say, look, I couldn't find my son. I thought he was home, but I didn't know. I looked into the basement, didn't see him down there, but then I saw a black bucket sitting by the bottom of the stairs. So I went and opened the bucket because it was not normally there. And inside the bucket, I found my son's head. Just his head.
Oh, my God.
The 911 operator asks the woman, are you hallucinating? Did you take mushrooms? Well, you know what, though? Out of all the people who say they see heads, it's probably a bigger percentage of them are on hallucinogens than actually found a head. You know what I'm saying? If you're a 911 operator, you probably know that.
They're probably trained to ask that, and that's fucking crazy. We're not okay.
No, we are not. Not okay, I say many times. So
they ask that question because sometimes that solves this phone call.
That's it, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Like when you call for technical support and they say, is it plugged in?
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. Let's first make sure you're not on LSD. Okay, you're not? Okay, great. Well, let's move on to that.
Turn it back on.
Try that, yeah.
Then I guess the son's in a bucket. We'll be on our way.
So they said that Shad and Shabusiness, the Shad and Shabusiness show, which sounds like a terrible morning podcast.
It's something.
They had come back to this home, Shad's mom's house, and went into the basement. Mom believed that Shabusiness and Shad were in the basement during the day on Tuesday, and she stated that she did not go into the basement, but did recall hearing Shabusiness talking at one point. Okay. Now, the mom also says that she and her boyfriend were out of the house during the day on Tuesday and said there was a minivan parked on the road in front of the house during that time, and she was not sure if it was Taylor's. The mom also said that between 2:30 and 3 a.m. that morning, she was awoken by a storm door being slammed. Okay. She stated she heard a vehicle and assumed it was Taylor's. She then said she got out of bed and saw the light in the basement was still on, so she went to see if Shad was still there because she thought Shabusiness had left. So she went into the basement, didn't see anyone, so she started to walk back up the stairs, and that's when she noticed the bucket. And she said she removed a blanket that was over the bucket, and that's when she discovered the head. She was like, why is there a blanket on top of a bucket? That's a weird thing.
Whoa.
Now, Shad, like we said, went out with Taylor for a couple years in high school. He works at his family's business. And, I guess she had picked him up on Monday, February 21st. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time that Shad's mom said she saw him alive. Now, she said that her boyfriend told her that sometime Monday into Tuesday night that they ended up coming home and seeing that he might have seen them. So anyway, they went out, Taylor and Shad, and they ended up coming back home after doing a bunch of drugs, including meth, obviously. That's what we're doing here. So the police arrived to investigate this. An officer, Wanish, goes into the basement. He gets to the bottom of the stairs, sees the plastic bucket. He also observed a shower and like a shower or beach towel over the bucket. So he lifted the towel and saw the human head.
Yeah.
Looked around the room and saw what appeared to be dried blood on a nearby mattress. Okay. So now they got to find Taylor because they know that they say that she may be living at this certain address on Eastman Avenue. So the officer also learned there's a van associated with her from the mother, saying she was driving a van. So they end up finding that address she was at, and the van is there. So they're looking at the van, and that's when they see Taylor emerge from the apartment building at that point. Yeah. She sees the cops, and she just stops dead in her tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously. They can see that she has dried blood on the front of a black hooded sweatshirt as well as all over her sweatpants. She's covered in blood. Literally covered in blood in broad daylight, standing there staring at cops that are looking at your van, which we'll find out what's inside of that. And you should be very upset that they're looking at that. So they also find that her hands are covered in blood as well, dried blood.
Oh, my.
And once they talk to her a little more, they see there's also blood all over her back as well, the back of her sweatshirt. Whoa. Covered in blood, like she just took a dive in a pool. It's crazy. Yeah. So they asked her if she knows why they're there. You know why we're here? And she said, because of my warrant for my arrest.
No,
well, soon, but
in a minute.
You're skipping a step, I think, Taylor.
We're going to legitimize all this with that in a sec.
So they were informed here. Wow, that's crazy. So they observed she also had a cut on her left thumb and some scratches on her arms and hand, according to her, were self-inflicted. She did them all to herself, she said. Yeah. So they also noticed the blood and everything. So they look in the van, which is parked out of her address, parked outside the address there. And wow, this is they took the van into custody and later examined it. And behind the rear passenger seat, in the rear passenger seat, behind the driver's seat, there was a Crock Pot box sitting there.
Just the box?
Just a box for, they don't know. There could be a brand new Crock Pot in there.
Anybody need a
That's
Crock
exciting.
Pot? What day? What day is this? What year is it? What month?
In the Midwest,
is there a game coming up?
Love. This is February in the Midwest. They love a Crock Pot.
Gotta make a dip.
You gotta make something. You make this is how they operate, man.
There's a big
so they're
game coming up.
Maybe she's just melting some cheese or something. But no, as a matter of fact, inside the box, which was on top of a laundry basket of clothes.
Yeah.
They located additional human body parts, including legs.
That's how big a Crock Pot box is?
Pieces of him, including legs.
Oh, my God.
They said that, this is very interesting. Then they go to the house. Okay. They're looking through the house more. During the search, they find the human head, severed from the neck, was located in a bucket at the basement, at the base of the stairs. The head was identified visually in comparison with a photograph of Shad. So there was also visual evidence of strangulation on the head that they observed. They also located the same bucket was his penis was there. His dick was in the bucket.
Took his dick and put it with his head.
Dick and his head, along with
oh my God,
bodily fluids of blood and viscera of all kinds, and two knives.
Just chopped him up into the bucket. And
I put all the important stuff in this bucket.
Yeah,
his head, his dick, by knives. Yeah. The important things that I want to take with me, including here. Then they find other body parts in the basement in other bags, including plastic shopping bags.
Wow.
Including also 3 other knives, including a bread knife consistent with the kitchen knives. Located in a storage tote, an upper torso was located in a bag, in a duffel bag. The upper torso had numerous rigid cuts at the site where the head was removed, consistent with the separated head. So the cuts on the neck match up.
Yeah.
The upper, also located in the tote, was a carving knife consistent with the kitchen knife and several internal organs. Just organs in there, separate.
Just piece. Oh, boy.
Not like
she took this little boy apart.
Oh, took him apart. She took him the fuck apart. Also located was what appeared to be a significant blood stain on an unsheeted top bed mattress, along with what appeared to be a site of previously cleaned up blood on a concrete surface next to and under a significant portion of the bed. So a fucking bloodbath is what they're describing.
Did she think she was going to get away with this?
Well, we'll find out. Evidence of drug use was observed in the open, out in the open on the top of the entertainment center, including a glass pipe, a gem bag containing light-colored powder material. Also observed was the evidence of blood around a stand-up shower located in the unfinished portion of the basement, and on what appeared to be numerous blood drops were visible on the concrete floor in front of the shower that appeared to have been partially wiped or washed away.
Good God.
During the search, they kept in contact with the people talking to her as well, and they're like, holy fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, we're going to...
Yeah.
So they bring her in, and they're like, you want to make a statement? And she says, fuck yeah, I do. Hell yeah.
Really?
Oh, I'll talk all about it. Yeah.
I'll tell you all my business.
all the shit business. Now, she said, first, she sat there. I love when they have the camera on them before they even get in the room, the cops, because that's when you can tell when someone's really crazy, when they're like arguing with themselves and shit. And that's what she was doing. She was like, I hate these fucking clothes, these fucking things, because she's wearing like a jumpsuit now because they took all of her clothes. So they advise her of her rights, and they tell her a few hours ago they were sent to a house, which they found a head of Shad. Her response to, we went to this house and found this head was, quote, that's pretty fucked up.
That's what she said?
She said, that's pretty fucked up. And it's so funny because the detective is just this fat, dorky guy, and he goes, yes, it is pretty fucked up. The way he said it is pretty fucked up. Real calm, he said it. It's so funny. So they asked, do you know Shad? You know, the guy's head we found? She goes, oh, yeah, I know him. So they confirm where she lives. They ask about the van, and she said, well, it's my neighbor's. It's my roommate's van. I don't think the roommate, she said, I'm going to go pick up a head. You cool with that? I'm going to go pick up some body parts. And they were like, yeah, no problem. Use the car.
Crock Pot box?
I can use here. They asked her where the rest of the body was, and she said that it was still in the basement. They asked her to tell him what happened, and her first comment about that was, quote, that's a good question, which it really is if you think about it.
You know, I didn't think of that answer yet.
Yeah, that's a good question, because she said, I blacked out, so I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what happened. So they said, was it just you and Shad in the basement? And she said, yeah, nobody else was there. They're like, okay, so you did something. She's now put herself alone at the crime scene with him, so... Yeah. She then said that she and Shad were, quote, smoking the bitch.
Is that what it's called?
That's what she calls meth, the bitch, which is interesting. Yeah. And they had to clarify. What are you talking about? The bitch.
What's
what are you calling the bitch?
Who
It's
is
the methamphetamine. Yeah. So then she said that Shad had a chain and had put it around his neck. This is while they were about getting into fucking at this point. They're about to have some intercourse here. She said strangulation was part of the sex act. She said that she and Shad had used strangulation during sex in the past. That's what they're into. Yeah. And, when you're on a bunch of meth and shit, when you're smoking the bitch, you really got to up the ante sexually. Yeah. You got to up that ante, my friend. So
sometimes the bitch makes you do crazy things.
Makes you wrap a chain around your neck. Not you're choking with your hand. A chain. So
they mean like a necklace chain, right?
No,
not a fucking dog chain.
God damn. A chain. So she said that she got there because she and a friend had picked him up in the minivan, and after picking up some drugs, they went back to her apartment. She said that her friend and Shad smoked some weed, and that she and Shad smoked some bitch, and then Shabusiness's friend left, and she said then she shot herself up, and she also shot up Shad with trazodone.
Oh, what's that?
Which is it's a downer. It's a tranquilizer. It's what they give me for my dog when we have company. They get what we give to Frankie when we have company.
Dog tranquilizer.
Yeah, it makes him kind of lay down. Which, by the way, we tried giving some to Oscar at one point, and it doesn't affect him. He takes a Frankie-sized dose, so a dose big enough for a dog twice his size. You even if you just met the dog for the first time, you'd be like, "Wow, this dog has a lot of energy." It's
like he was smoking the bitch.
Smoking the bitch. So Taylor said that she and Shad left her apartment and drove to his house in the minivan. They went to the basement and said that the victim, Shad's mother's boyfriend, let them in the house, and that's when he said he saw them because she hadn't seen them. Remember, I said the boyfriend saw them later in the evening. Right. That was then. She said that it was about 5 minutes after they arrived. That's when Shad pulled out the chains. So she said she began to choke him while they were having a sex act here. And she described it as he was lying face down on the bed with her on top of him, pulling on the end of the chain, which doesn't sound very sexual considering his dick is in the opposite direction of her. Yeah. Any hole that she has. So she said he coughed up blood, which is a bad sign, and she was just waiting for him to die while she was watching his face. Yeah. She made the comment that she was, quote, already this far. So
it's halfway done.
Might as well. So she just kept on. She said in a lower tone of voice, because they said, how did you feel about it? And she said, yeah, I liked it.
Oh, boy.
She dug it. She believed, the detective believed her to be referring to when she was choking him, and I've seen it, and that's exactly what she was referring to. Yeah. She said that she thought it took about 3 to 5 minutes for him to die, which would make sense with a strangulation. So the detective clarifies that the victim began to cough up blood, and you just kept on choking him because you just wanted to see what would happen. And she said, yeah, absolutely. She said, yeah, I was already blacked out while I was choking him, but I woke up at some point in there, and he was already purple, so I kept going. So now she's having intermittent, she's coming back intermittently. She said she enjoyed choking him and made comments to the detectives asking if they knew what it was like to love something so much that you kill it. You ever love something so much that you kill it?
Yeah.
Huh?
You ever see a puppy and just want to drop kick that fucker
just want to fucking
traffic?
kill it because you're so fucking cute and fluffy. I could strangle the fucking life out of you. I could just pop your little adorable head right off your shoulders.
You ever want to spin a baby around by its fucking neck?
I just want to do that and see what would happen. Ever love something so much so you kill it? The detectives at that point got up, left the room, and they said, we got to smoke some bitch. This is crazy. I can't deal with this. It's over. This is wild.
Too much.
Too much. So Taylor then said she played with the body for 2 or 3 hours, which included sucking his dick.
What?
She sucked him off.
Blew a corpse.
Putting the dildo in both his mouth and anus.
You asshole.
She Dahmered this guy.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
She raped a corpse.
She raped a corpse. Then they clarified that she was in the basement the whole time. She said, yes, obviously, duh. She said that they were in the basement, and she said, by the way, the chains were chain link and silver. She said there was 2 chains. Uh-huh. She later described the chains as being like a dog choke collar. Like something like that. Yeah. Uh-huh. So she said that she just went crazy. She said that she could feel his heart beating as she was choking him and kept pulling and choking him harder, but he wouldn't die, and that he just kept, quote, rebuilding into muscle. Whatever the fuck that means. So they said, at what point did you know he wasn't alive anymore? And she said that his face turned purple, blood was coming out of his mouth, and, and he stopped moving and breathing, and his heart stopped beating.
That'll do it.
So, yeah, she said that she put the dildo into his mouth and then, quote, into his ass. And they asked if he tried to fight back while you were choking him. Did he try to stop this, or was he just and she said, oh, yeah, he fought back. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I didn't stop or anything. Yeah. So she just kept pulling harder, she said. Yikes. She then tells him about how she mutilated him after that. This is after she had sex with him and, raped the corpse and did all that shit.
Right.
She said she had knives found in the kitchen, especially a bread knife that was very helpful for her, she said. So they asked her questions about the minivan and asked if she had contact with anybody else. She and Shad had contact with anybody else when they first got back to the house. Mm-hmm. And her response is, quote, "Damn the head. I can't believe I left the head, though." That's what she said.
She forgot she was going to take the bucket with her.
Yes, wait till you get to this. The detective asked her, well, the rest of the body's in the basement. And she said, yeah you're all going to have fun trying to find all the organs I took out of them. She then said that all the body parts should be in the basement, though. You should be able to find them. And she said there should be a, quote, a foot or a leg in the minivan. Not sure. You forget where you put certain parts. Who can remember where you have put all your dismembered parts? So they asked her, they said, well, what'd you do with the head? And she said, I put it in a black bucket and put a blanket over it, as you do.
Right.
So they asked, well, how'd you dismember the body? And she said, I went in the kitchen, I got some knives. A bread knife worked the best, though, because it's serrated, so you can really saw away with that thing. She said the knives should be in the black bag along with the body parts in the basement. She said she would just use whatever bag she found in the basement to place the body parts into, and made a comment at one point that she got paranoid and lazy and thought it was the dope that was making her paranoid.
The bitch.
Yep, the bitch. So she had a plan to bring all the body parts with her, but she said she got lazy and just ended up putting the leg and foot in the van and forgot the head. You know how that goes. She said, she, quote, got lazy and did that. She made comments that she did not mean to kill him, but as she was choking him, she liked it and she just kept doing it. So you know how that goes. Right. She also made the comment that she was not prepared as killing him was random. So she didn't have any, way to dispose of him or any thought process. She said that she had his body on the bed in the basement and she pulled him to the edge of the bed, put the black bucket underneath his head as she was cutting his head off to catch the blood. She also talked about using a bucket and a tote to catch the blood, and she would use the shower in the basement to dump out the bucket. Holy shit. She was asked if she thought it was the right thing to do, and her comment was, well, I did it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I was already there.
So the medical examiner has a little clearer idea of what she did, because she's not real clear on every detail of what she did, because she's saying she blacked out and she was all high. And they said that he was decapitated. His back was, quote, filleted and then dismembered.
Oh, she opened him up from the back.
Yes. They said that the body showed multiple wounds and evidence of attempts to remove the flesh from the bones. She tried to make a skeleton, dude. She tried to carve his flesh off.
Wow.
And fucking took all his organs out.
She was field dressing this man.
Yeah,
that's
worse.
Oh, my God.
Worse, the dismemberment would have taken a few hours, while noting that the torso had been cut in half. So she look at the medical examiners. I'm going to turn this thing. Look at what he drew up.
That is so many cuts.
The back has no meat.
There's no
on
back.
It.
It's a shoulder.
She took it all, man. Look at this. Chunks.
My God.
Where he was cut, the different places, and they're not straight. These are the cuts of a fucking person who's been smoking the bitch.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
She carved him up like a bitch.
Wow. That is
so much.
So, wow. That's a lot. So obviously she's under arrest. Mm-hmm. Now, right after that, her brother dies in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah?
He probably did it on purpose just to not have to think about this, because this is horrifying. Now, in court, she pleads guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah.
Fair. Her attorneys are seeking to have her statements, her confessions, thrown out, arguing she was under the influence of drugs at the time, but a judge denies that motion, and a motion to also drop the sexual assault charge based on the idea that he was dead and his penis had been dismembered. So, you can't sexually, just because she used his penis for her own. You imagine that? Yeah, that's sexual assault. It'd be like a guy going, I cut her tits off to feel them later, but, that's not sexual assault because she was already dead and I cut them off. It is, actually. Yeah, very much sexual assault. So prior to the trial, a judge approves a second competency hearing for her. Her defense claims she may have been suffering from a mental breakdown or other mental defect before and after the incident on February 23rd, 2022. Warren, by the way, remember her husband?
Yeah, he's in prison.
He's in prison. He writes a letter of support for her.
Oh?
Claiming that his wife is not to blame for the murder, but rather the drugs that were given to her that day. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And he blames Shad for giving her the drugs. Like she needs someone to give her drugs.
I get it.
February 2023, there's a motions hearing. These motions hearing, there's a million of them before a trial. The defendant comes in, sits there, the lawyers make a couple of arguments, everybody leaves. She lunges out of her seat and physically attacks her defense attorney. It's awesome.
Well, yeah.
She just, he's like, oh, you can see the look on his face like, oh, God, help me. It's fucking amazing. So they tackle her to the floor and all that kind of shit and drag her out of the court. And they say, well, you've waived your right to be here now. After that, her husband offers more support. She said, I know what she's being accused of is not who she is. Not only has her addiction played a big role, but so does her mental background as well as postpartum depression. I just want my wife to get help, professional help, because it's what she deserves. Like I said, my prayers go out to my wife. I love her more than anything in this world, and that this will never change no matter what. And this, by the way, is, look at this.
Handwritten. Wow. He is not kidding. He's got some pretty nice penmanship, huh?
It's not bad. Baby boo mates, he calls them.
That I don't like that.
Baby boo mates. And he signs it, Warren Shabusiness.
Shabusiness.
Of course. Of course. Mr. Shabusiness, baby.
Yeah.
July 2023, a judge hears testimony from forensic psychologist Dr. Diane Leighton. Leighton testifies that Shabusiness shows signs of an active psychotic disorder and is not competent for trial.
Really?
I would probably agree with that. She attacks everybody. A court-ordered psychologist testified, though, that Shabusiness was competent to stand trial, and the judge found her competent to stand trial.
Right.
Now, 2023, right after this, her dad's going to fucking prison.
Really?
For second-degree sexual assault of a child.
Second time?
This is what I think what he was accused of before, and now it's just going to court. I believe, or it might not be, but that's all I know of, so I'm not going to put pin another molestation on him. This is classified in Wisconsin as sexual contact or sexual intercourse with a person who has not attained the age of 16 years.
Wow.
The victim in the case was 13 years old when she claims that Arturo raped her in her bedroom.
Oh, boy.
That's dad. That's dad. Yeah. Think about once mom's dead, too. That's the age that she was.
Right.
What happened, man?
Substituting her, right, for her.
You know what I'm saying? She never had a fucking chance. Not making excuses, but I mean, Jesus Christ, they might as well put her down when she was 16 because this was, unless she was going to get help, this is going to be her mapped out life. Yeah. It's fucking horrible. This is terrifying. So I don't mean that victim. I mean Taylor.
Sure.
So the victim was a relative of his then wife, his new wife.
Oh.
He molested like
stepdaughter
or a niece or something.
Yeah.
This woman filed for divorce a few weeks later. Her lawyer for the divorce proceedings is the same lawyer who's defending Shabusiness at first, by the way, Taylor. The complaint initially charges Coronado with 2 counts of first-degree sexual assault with a person under the age of 16 by use of force or violence, but the district attorney made the decision to reduce the charges to 2 counts of second-degree sexual assault for reasons that they don't explain. Coronado agreed to plead no contest to one of the 2 counts, and the court shows that he filed a notice, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Coronado's now serving a 12-year sentence for this sexual assault.
Oh.
He was sentenced a week before he pled no contest, and he's sentenced a week before his daughter's trial starts. Mm-hmm. Now, the openings for the trial, they say started out with meth and followed. She made the decision to use meth, the decision to strangle this guy with a dog collar in his mother's basement, then to degrade his body with sex acts on his corpse, because she had sex with him too.
Right.
She had sex with his corpse, dismember his body, scrub the crime scene clean, and hide his remains in her car and throughout his mother's basement, telling that law enforcement that they would, quote, have fun trying to find him.
What did he do to her?
Nothing. She said she just liked it. She was just into it. She said she was strangling him, and it got good to her, and she just kept going.
Fuck.
Now, the defense lawyer, after all that, you got to get up and go, all you got is, she's crazy as fuck, man. That's all you got. Mm-hmm. So the defense lawyer said, urged the jury to, quote, keep an open mind and not jump to conclusions. Wow. Her behavior continues in court. She would smile and smirk. She took naps. She took naps during the trial. She just put her head down.
This.
She would put her fucking... Like when they would lower the lights to show like pictures or something, she'd put her head on the table like in the third grade. They're showing a film strip and she's out. She took naps. She burst out laughing several times, once during a discussion over whether the jury would be able to see photos of the decapitated head in the bucket.
No,
she cracked up laughing. Like, you don't get more crazier than inappropriate laughter.
Yeah.
Like, she's not, this is without meth.
What the fuck, man?
So, I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, she had a fucking parts in her car. She said what she did. It's done. So the jury deliberates for less than an hour and may come back with guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault as well.
Okay.
Interesting. Which is funny because we've had cases where different states where people would try to argue that I raped a corpse, man. Don't isolate that, please. Yeah. I raped a corpse. That's not rape because it's a dead person. It's like, don't please. Yeah. And there's never been a grosser argument to make in court than that. So during sentencing, her piece of shit father testifies on her behalf.
Stop it, really?
Comes in handcuffed in an orange suit as a known child molester. He gets up there. I don't want his fucking endorsement. Do you?
He did what?
He said that he sought help for his daughter on several occasions because she suffered from hallucinations and wasn't right in the head. He said that he always worried about her mental health. He said that her mental state had been fragile ever since her mother died, and he blames her husband, who he calls a piece of shit and says fucked up her whole life, and a fucking loser, he calls him, and on the stand.
The guy that's in prison is a fucking loser.
Warren Shabusiness is a fucking loser who gave his daughter drugs and got her hooked up with all this shit.
Destroyed
That's what
my
she
daughter's
says.
life, yeah.
A defense psychologist said that Shabusiness was not criminally responsible for her actions because she suffered from severe bipolar disorder that rendered her unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of her actions. Then she also, this is amazing, the psychologist reveals some conversations she had with her leading up to this.
Oh?
Where Taylor Shabusiness said that she, quote, had a thing with Jeffrey Dahmer about a year ago.
What did she say?
She said she fucked Jeffrey Dahmer last year.
Man,
Jeffrey
he's been
Dahmer
dead for 20 years.
died 3 years before she was born.
Yeah.
They never shared the earth together. Even as a toddler and an inmate, they weren't around together. So that's how crazy she is. She was like, I fucked Jeffrey Dahmer. And she said this woman is not of sound mind. She said she's suffering from command hallucinations that cause her to hurt herself or other people, meaning not just hallucinations telling her to do shit.
Right.
They said that she does not know how to act in court and referenced her physically attacking her former defense attorney during a pretrial hearing.
Okay.
So 2 court-appointed psychologists who testified for the state said that her actions were fueled by drugs, which made her ineligible for the insanity plea under Wisconsin's definition of a mental disease or defect. They pointed to her decision to dismember the body and clean the basement as evidence that she knew her actions were wrong. Her attorney argued that drugs may have compounded her psychosis, but there's enough evidence that she suffered from a long-standing disorder affecting her actions going back to adolescence. The judge says, you crazy lady may fuck off, life without parole.
That's what she got?
Yeah, she got thrown in for the remainder of the shabusiness.
We're going to take all your shabusiness.
All of it. During the proceedings, her and her father mouthed, I love you to one another.
What in the fuck?
And then she added, quote, go Bears.
Go Bears.
That's amazing. That's the
Bears.
That's the NFC North. That's how crazy the people are for shit.
She said that shit in Green Bay. Suck
yes.
it.
They're like English soccer fans. They're the same. Like they're that entrenched in what they are. Go Bears. So
she's from Chicago
quickly,
too, so that is a stinger.
It's perfect. Quickly, July of 2024, she attacks a prison guard. While in the nurse's office, she began giggling. Then a short time later, when the nurse was in the process of removing a staple with tweezers, she lunged initially at the nurse, then at the sergeant, pushed the nurse out of the way, and the sergeant began to try to gain control of her. She needed medical treatment because she had a staple in her arm.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Maybe closed a wound?
She swung a small table at the sergeant, who subdued her with pepper spray. So she's nuts.
She is dangerous as fuck, man.
March 28th, 2025, her attorney says she has no appeal grounds. Her attorney says that.
Oh, we can't appeal. There's nothing.
She said experts were appropriately used. Motions were appropriately raised. The conduct by the attorney was thorough. Counsel that was used was appropriate law and defenses. Counsel was effective in sentencing, and trial counsel provided effective assistance. So he's saying, I have nothing to file. April 2025, she goes to court for attacking a prison guard. That last one there, which is a lot of fun here. She pleads not guilty. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is the one where she comes into court and attacks her lawyer again.
Oh, my God.
When she's in there for attacking a prison guard.
She attacked the lawyer.
She attacked her own lawyer for the second time, different lawyer. Then the deputies pinned her down and carried her out of the courtroom. The attorney requested that he can withdraw from the case now since he's been attacked in court. And the judge says, I don't think so.
Stick around,
You're sticking with this. What, are you afraid of a little business? So
learn how to take a punch and deliver your own business.
Oh, man. June 18th, 2025, Taylor drops her appeal for now.
Yeah.
So this is what I was waiting for fucking 2 years now. She officially dropped her current appeal for a first-degree murder conviction. She submitted her own official withdrawal in a handwritten letter submitted to the court, which looks like this. Crazy.
Oh.
She looks like she's. It's like it's
What
like what
is that?
It's like a font the Insane Clown Posse uses. It's fucking nuts.
That is unbelievable.
She said, I'll post it on the social media. Quote, I'm a voluntary dismiss the no merit and extend the time to I'ma do that to extend the time to file a post-conviction motion. And then she just signs it business and draws what looks like lips kissy face thing on there.
Is that what that is? Or is that like a raccoon, like the tip of a raccoon head?
I don't know, but it's drawn. So I don't know. It looks like lips. I'm not sure. So she submitted that.
That is a fucking amazing.
That's a crazy tale.
Legal document.
That's wild. And that's legal. And it looks like Warren was supposed to get out, but then was turned over to federal marshals. So he might be in some kind of federal. So he might be, I mean, it's a drug thing. So he could be in a witness protection program by now or something. We have no idea, but who knows? But there you go, everyone. There is Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Taylor business.
Don't go smoking the bitch, you guys. It's bad news.
Watch out for the bitch, everybody. So very quickly, definitely go on whatever app you're on. Give us 5 stars. It helps a ton, helps drive us up the chart. Shutupandgivememurder.com for tickets. Irvine, DC, Philly, Seattle. Tickets left there. Get them right now. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Definitely follow on social media at Small Town Murder on Instagram, Small Town Pod on Facebook, Patreon.com/crime in sports. Anybody $5 a month or above. Huge back catalog, all sorts of bonus episodes. New ones every other week. One crime in sports, one Small Town Murder, and you get it all. This week, Liver King for crime and sports, for Small Town Murder, aliens, rabbit hole, our whistleblowers being murdered. Let's smoke a joint and go down the rabbit hole, everybody. We're going to do that. That's patreon.com/crime and sports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show. You want to follow us on social media. Shutupandgivememurder.com has drop down menus. Take you everywhere you want to go. Thank you so much, everybody. And until next week, it's been our pleasure. Avoid the bitch.
Mind your own business. Bye.